Good day and welcome to Stellenbosch University Faculty of Education. I am Liesl Frick, the Vice Dean for Research, Postgraduate Studies and Internationalization within the faculty. And today we'd like to tell you more about the research-focused activities within our faculty. Later in the clip, you will also be joined by Professor Anthony Brown from our Department of Educational Psychology, Professor Nuran Davids from the Department of Education Policy Studies, as well as Professor Nhlanhla Mpofu from the Department of Curriculum Studies. They will all be telling you more about the research and postgraduate programs within their different departments, and they will be telling you more about the research that the academics within those departments are doing. We are very excited to introduce you to both the postgraduate programs and the research foci within our faculty. We form part of the greater Stellenbosch University research community, and as such, we take great pride in the research that we are doing.
My name is Anthony Brown, and I am a professor and chair for the Department of Educational Psychology in the Faculty of Education. I would like to share the common research themes and interests in the Department of Educational Psychology. Among the first themes in this department is the notion of inclusive education. Now, inclusive education is much broader, but we have a specific interest in learners who experience barriers to learning and who might have challenges to participate in the classroom activities. Another theme in the department is also parental involvement, because the child lives within a system, and part of the system is parents' support. And how do we understand how to integrate parents in the learning process? Another interesting one, which is very critical in South Africa, is the notion of violence and victims who require care and support. South Africa has got a very progressive constitution, and among others, it also caters for people with diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. And we are exploring the education of these young people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, intersex, and transgender within the schooling system. And then we also have in our department social justice, adult education, and gender education. And lastly, we are looking at learner support and transitioning.
The Department of Curriculum Studies is at the forefront of education innovation. We are leading an evolution in domestic and global educational issues. Our students work together with faculty to deepen our understanding of the learning process and to develop and disseminate new knowledge in the following research areas: curriculum study, computer education, maths education, language education and language in education, science education, geography and history education, higher education, environmental education, mentoring of pre-service teachers, and diversity in the curriculum. As a department, we pride ourselves in that we are also the home of the Center for Higher and Adult Education, a leading research hub that focuses on key areas such as postgraduate supervision, doctoral education, student success, vocational education, and disability and adult learning, as well as community-based adult learning, as well as other issues that affect and influence postgraduate learning and teaching.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Nuran Davids, Chairperson of the Department of Education Policy Studies in the Faculty of Education, and I'm going to be telling you a bit about the department. So the department is, as the title suggests, or the name suggests, focused on policy studies, but within the department we have different specializations or disciplines, and that is philosophy of education, sociology of education, as well as educational leadership and management. This is not to say that we work in separated silos and that our work doesn't integrate, but in terms of specializations, those are what we offer, and it's helpful particularly for students wanting to pursue studies at master's or doctoral levels. And of course, in terms of our common themes and our teaching, we are centrally focused on the ideas of democratic citizenship education, social justice, and inclusion. So fundamentally, despite the fact that we have different lenses through which we approach these subjects, we come back to the same theme, and that is ultimately to cultivate a democratic classroom, a democratic school, and then of course nurture what we understand to be a democratic citizen, which ties in with the political ethos of our society.
Now, it is quite important to understand that we don't do research just for the mere sake of it, but that this research contribute to the field of educational psychology or education at large and society. And so many of our young people who experience disabilities or learning challenges have been in the outlayer of societies. They were sent to special schools, they lived in special houses, and we are saying that inclusive education prepares for an inclusive society, that we have to accommodate the diverse abilities of people that we have in the South African society towards a socially just and learning environment for all people. And that applies to all people regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of their gender identity and expression, also looking at people's care and support within communities where they are subjected to violence. And we want to improve the quality of life of all children and prepare them towards adulthood. And therefore it's important that we capture these young people at a young age and give them the necessary support.
As a department, we are making two contributions through our research. One, to the fundamental understanding of theory in curriculum study and development. But secondly, and more importantly, to applied use. This is when interventions that come from our research findings help solve local and international problems in practice of teaching in the various levels of the education system. These contributions are critical in assisting different role players, both locally and internationally, to envision the future for a sustainable world and education system.
So our contribution is a kind of, I think, across different terrains. We look at school-based policies and the ideas and theoretical debates and discourses at school level, but we also focus on higher education. And then fundamentally we try to bring in, because of course education is not for the now, education is always looking towards the future. So for us, education is about what kind of society are we ultimately shaping. And so our concerns are often societally based. We look at the impact of poor education on society and what that means, the role of poverty, for example, what happens with violence in our schools, how do we adequately prepare young people to be a part of a democratic society when often the promises of democracy are not prevalent within the schooling system which they find themselves. There's a very strong awareness in our work of the deeply disparate landscape in which we work, and we try to open up the debate so that greater kind of clarity is had in just how contextually bound education is. And despite the fact that we have every single policy talking about equality and fair and equal access, we know this is not the case.
Now, this is quite exciting research within the Department of Educational Psychology, because we create opportunities to capture learners who in the past would have dropped out and their life opportunities would have been compromised. And so doing research in inclusion, capturing children and supporting them who are subjected to violence, rendering the necessary support for learning to take place optimally, enables learners to get optimal life opportunities. We are preparing young people to cope with present challenges and prepare them for the future.
What makes me excited about the type of research that we are currently conducting in the Department of Curriculum is the diversity of the researchers, both staff and students. These diverse researchers bring alternative thinking in our research inquiry. Secondly, I'm excited about the way we are choosing to communicate our research findings. Instead of hiding these research findings in the library, we are using these research findings to influence local and international education systems.
So what makes this department exciting, or the research? Well, it really is a very long string. We dabble in issues of leadership, management, policy, philosophy of education, sociology. We dabble in education law. So our research is incredibly rich. And what makes it even richer is each time we embark on research of our own, or each time we have postgraduate supervision and students, it takes us into even deeper theoretical debates, and we're continually building on existing theory, existing discourses, and just existing frameworks. So we really see our research as incredibly dynamic. And even though we talk about this concept of education, we recognize that education cannot be cannot be removed from society. And so issues of social justice sit squarely in what we do. And in that way, we do see ourselves as making a very worthwhile contribution to enhancing education in this country, and perhaps not only in this country, but also internationally. Just I think to close off with, we are research intensive. We have produced lots of international publications within the department. We have international collaborations. We have colleagues serving on international networks and committees and societies, and as well as international journals. So the department has been very successful in extending its reach from the locality of Stellenbosch into a global society and a global village of scholars, which continually pushes the work that we do. So that, in a nutshell, is what we are about, and I hope I've answered some of the questions you might have had. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us for this video. In the next slide, you will receive information about the postgraduate programs within our faculty, which you are welcome to consult. We look forward to engaging with you if you are interested in joining us in 2024. Thank you.